They say honesty is the best policy, but in Hollywood, honesty is just another product to sell. Meet Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard, the couple that built an empire on being relatable, real, and raw. The kind of people who turn therapy sessions into podcast episodes. The kind of marriage that's sold as imperfect but inspiring. But what if that imperfection isn't charming at all? What if the realness they sell is actually rot? Because somewhere between a dirty mattress, a locked bedroom door, and a 10-day-old protein shake running through their bed cooling system, the fairy tale of Kristen and Dax starts to smell, literally. Tonight, we peel back the layers of Hollywood's favorite, authentic couple to see what happens when two people mistake chaos for honesty, and when a culture applauds them for it. Welcome to the cult of imperfection. This is not a love story. It's a case study in how far Hollywood will go to make dysfunction look adorable. In Hollywood, the word authentic has lost all meaning. It's not about being genuine anymore. It's about being marketable in a messy, human, Instagram-friendly kind of way. And no couple embodies this better than Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard. Together, they've built an empire of imperfection. Their podcast, their interviews, even their social media feeds, everything is carefully wrapped in the language of honesty and transparency. They don't sell perfection. They sell the illusion that imperfection makes them perfect. But listen closely to their stories, and you'll realize something. These aren't just quirky little confessions meant to make us laugh. They are glimpses into something darker, something they may not even understand about themselves. Take, for example, their bedtime routine. Apparently, the whole family, 2 adults and 2 young children, sleep in the same bedroom. The parents in bed, the kids on the floor. The floor in a multi-million-dollar home. One night, Kristen said she smelled something horrible under the bed, something so foul she thought a dog had relieved itself there. Dax laughed. He said, "We had the girls check under the furniture. Because of course, why would the adult get up when you can send your children crawling around sniffing for dog waste?" Then came the real horror. The smell wasn't from a dog. It came from Dax's side of the mattress, from something called an Ooler, a device that pumps liquid through the bed to regulate temperature. Dax had apparently poured a 10-day-old protein shake into it by mistake. 10 days, and he never noticed. The story was told as a funny, relatable anecdote, a little domestic chaos for the podcast audience. But beneath the laughter, it's hard to ignore the bigger picture. A man so detached from his surroundings, he can't tell water from decaying protein. A couple who invites their children into that environment and calls it family bonding. Yet, Hollywood eats it up because this is what passes for authentic now. It's not about being good or stable. It's about being broken in a way that feels entertaining. Kristen and Dax have mastered that formula. They've turned dysfunction into a brand, and the public loves them for it, because in their chaos, we see our own, and that makes us feel normal. But here's the question no one asks. At what point does being real stop being brave and start being disturbing? Now, let's move from the bedroom floor to something even darker. Kristen Bell once proudly described what she called a parenting hack. It wasn't about bedtime routines or healthy communication or anything remotely kind. It was about control. She said on record that she and Dax switched the lock on their 3-year-old's bedroom door. They put the lock on the outside so that when their daughter went to bed, they could lock her inside. Kristen said, almost laughing, "I know that's controversial, but we lock it when she's in there." Then she explained how they stood outside the door saying, "We love you, we'll talk to you in the morning. Now it's time for sleep." After 10 minutes, she said, the child would wind herself down. Then, before bed, they would unlock it. Or so she claimed. It was presented as harmless, cute, even relatable. Major outlets like Business Insider called it a controversial parenting trick. But let's be honest, there's nothing controversial about locking a child in a room. It's terrifying. Imagine being 3 years old, trapped behind a locked door, hearing your parents' voices fade away as they walk down the hall. That's not a bedtime routine. That's a lesson in helplessness. And what makes it worse is how normal this behavior was made to sound. That's the magic of the Dax Shepard brand. They can wrap cruelty in charm, and the world will call it authentic parenting. But symbolism doesn't lie. A locked door is never just a locked door. It's a metaphor for everything about this marriage. The illusion of closeness, the fear of losing control, the need to contain what they cannot manage. Because when you start locking your child in at night, you're not parenting anymore. You're building a prison and teaching your kid to call it home. And if that doesn't disturb you yet, it should. Because what we see here isn't just bad parenting. It's the normalization of neglect, wrapped in pastel tones and podcast banter. They've made dysfunction sound like love, and millions applauded. Maybe it's time we stop clapping. Let's move to the moment that truly exposes the heart of this marriage, the fight. The one Kristen Bell called so intense that both of us blacked out. She told the story on another podcast, hosted by actor Justin Long. Her tone was casual, even humorous as she described it. But listen to her words closely, and the story stops being funny. It started with something small, a note. Kristen left Dax a handwritten reminder to pick up 2 towels and do the laundry. That was all. When she came home, everything seemed fine. Until bedtime. Then she said she could sense it, that shift in the air, the moment before he snaps. He turned to her and said, "When you leave me notes, I feel controlled." His nostrils flared, her body tensed. She said to herself, "Don't react, don't react." She tried to stay calm, asked how she could communicate better, and then, as she put it, we both blacked out. What followed was screaming, crying, and silence. For 3 days, they didn't speak. Kristen slept on the couch, replaying the fight in her head. And in her telling, she makes it sound like a comedy of errors. But to anyone who's lived through a volatile home, it sounds like something else. Because there's nothing funny about 2 parents going silent for days while their kids are in the next room. That's not a relatable moment. That's emotional warfare. And yet, even this story became content, packaged as authenticity, consumed by millions who mistook pain for personality. It also revealed something deeper about Dax Shepard and about the culture that protects men like him. He's built his public image on recovery, on being sober, on doing the work. But in this story, he sounds anything but in control. The rage, the need for dominance, the way he makes her walk on eggshells, none of that sounds healed.
Kristen describes sensing his anger the way a puppy senses danger. That's not intimacy, that's fear. It's a survival mechanism disguised as devotion. And Hollywood loves it because it fits the narrative they've been selling us for years. That love is supposed to hurt a little, that chaos is passion, that fighting means you care. But the truth is simpler and sadder. This isn't love, it's codependency televised. It's the performance of vulnerability without the substance of change. They call it honesty, but it's just trauma, monetized.
By now, the pattern is impossible to ignore. Kristen Bell and Dax Shepard don't just share their private lives, they package them. Every fight, every mistake, every emotional breakdown becomes content. And that is exactly how they make a living. Welcome to the cult of imperfection, a modern religion built on oversharing. Its commandments are simple. Confess everything, never apologize, and call it growth. Hollywood loves this new gospel because it's profitable, because it sells. Gone are the days of glamour and mystery. Now, audiences don't want stars, they want mirrors. They want to see themselves, messy, lost, dysfunctional, reflected back through famous faces. And Kristen and Dax are perfect disciples. They've mastered the language of vulnerability. They speak in therapy buzzwords, triggers, healing, boundaries. They turn arguments into lessons and trauma into hashtags. But there's nothing authentic about it. It's a business model disguised as emotional honesty. Think about it. Every time Dax talks about his sobriety, the episode goes viral. Every time Kristen admits to locking her child in a room, headlines appear within hours. They are rewarded for chaos. They are paid for pain. And we, the audience, are their enablers. This is the economy of confession, where the more you reveal, the more you earn, where trauma becomes a subscription service. It's not just them. Look around. Demi Lovato, Jonah Hill, Will Smith, each one has turned personal breakdowns into branded redemption arcs. Hollywood doesn't fix broken people anymore. It monetizes them. Because the cult of imperfection tells us that being a mess is not only okay, it's empowering. It gives permission to never get better. It's self-destruction rebranded as self-expression. And that's the tragedy. In trying so hard to be relatable, these celebrities stopped being real. They've turned their flaws into currency, their children into props, their pain into performance. They sell us imperfection as a kind of freedom. But what they're really selling is surrender. We used to look to Hollywood for ideals. Now we look to it for excuses. And the line between authenticity and exploitation no longer exists. This is not about one couple. It's about a system that feeds on dysfunction and convinces us it's healing.